So first of all, you start with the booting instructions from inside the ROM, and then you start up with the BIOS, basic input output system, and the first program post will activated, where it will check whether all the hardware as well as hardware functions properly. Then it will read the very first boot record, we call master boot record, and it'll open up what we call bootstrap loader. Now, when you say we have multiple operating system, last time we discussed, let's say Windows and Unix, Windows and Linux, yeah, that will happen with the bootstrap load. The මුලින්ම පුතේ ඊළඟට අපිට master boot record එක කියවනවා. ඒකේ bootstrap loader කියන එක හරහා මොන operating system එකකද අපි වැඩ කරන්නේ කියන එක අපිට decide කරන්න පුළුවන්. Once you select a particular operating system, then computer loads it to the RAM. Right? අපි තෝරගත්තට පස්සේ ඒක computer load වෙනවා. So that's what will happen. We call this as booting. Right? And then we discuss different types of software available. Basically, software can be classified as system software as well as application software. Software අපිට divide කරන්න පුළුවන් කොටස් දෙකට, පද්ධති මෘදුකාංග සහ යෙදුම් මෘදුකාංග කියලා. මේ දෙකේදී කතා කරන ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් hardware. එහෙම නැත්නම් භෞතික කොටස් එක්ක වැඩ කරන ප්‍රධාන මෘදුකාංග විදිහට අපි system software අඳුර ගන්නවා. අපි ඉඳා වැඩ කරන අනිකුත් වැඩසටහන් application software ගණයට එනවා. Okay, so under system software, again we can classify it as 3: operating system, utility software, and language translators. System software කියන එක අපිට කොටස් 3යි. operating system මෙහෙම පද්ධති Linux, Windows, Mac OS වගේ අපේ hardware එක ප්‍රධාන වැඩ කරන මෙහෙම පද්ධති. ඊළඟට utility software අපි කියනවා defragmenter, එහෙම නැත්නම් antivirus software comes under utility software. Then third one we call language translators. Basically we will learn how to write programs in grade 11. There we will discuss the codes we'll write in high level programming language, whereas computer understand machine language. So we need to perform language translators. අපි කතා කරා utility software යටතේ මෙහෙම පද්ධතියට උදව් කරන වැඩසටහන් ගැන අපි කතා කරනවා. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට antivirus software virus අඳුනා ගන්න, ඒවා ඉවත් කරන්න කටයුතු කරනවා. ඊළඟට භාෂා පරිවර්තක තියෙනවා. අපේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි කේතනය කරද්දී උසස් මට්ටමේ භාෂා පාවිච්චි කරන high level languages කියලා කියන එක පරිගණකයට තේරෙන machine language එකට convert කරන එක තමයි language translator වලදී කරන්නේ. Then we had application software. Things like when you want to type a letter, we can use word processing. When you perform a calculation, you can use spreadsheet software. When you store information, then you can use a database. And then let's say leisurely, if you want to play a game, then you have a lot of gaming software available. And then if you want to connect to the internet, then you may use web browsers. So all these software modules we use for different tasks, different applications. Because of that, we will say application software, right? So if you look at everything together, how hardware, system software, as well as application software connects together, the hardware stuff, the physical components like mouse, keyboard, projector comes as hardware. To interact with the hardware, we need the system software, that actually you have software modules to interact with the hardware. So things like operating system, utility software comes under this. And then all the other software we will use for various tasks comes under application software, right? So then above that, we have the user. So whenever user wants to interact with the hardware, it has to go through application software, then system software, and then hardware, right? So these are the things that we have actually discussed last time, right? Then we discussed a couple of operating systems were were available. Most commonly used general public users what we call the Windows. මම කිව්ව සාමාන්‍ය අපි වැඩිපුරම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ Windows මෙහෙයුම් පද්ධතිය. And there are various versions for Windows. Windows starts with Windows 1.0, and then we have seen another popular version called 3.1, Windows 95, 98, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, and now we have Windows 10, right? So it will change. For each version to version, there are some changes, additional functionalities available. Then, if you have heard about the Apple computers, I have showed you last time, what they call the operating system, Apple Mac OS, Macintosh operating system, Mac OS in short, we will use it. So again, it's quite popular in graphic design, in gaming, because it supports a lot of, graphics. And then we will have free and open source software, all the above. That means Windows and Mac operating systems, you have to pay for it. It's commercial, we call it. Putalata Windows Mac operating system, you have to pay for it. The normal price for Windows is about 15,000. You have to pay. When you purchase a computer, you will get a original Windows version, but you have already paid with the price. But if you look at Ubuntu, it's a flavor of, or it's a distribution of Linux operating system, and it's free. Free meaning you don't have to pay for it. And it's open source. Open source means the source code is open. Anybody can have a look, they can change, edit, they can create their own version, right? එතකොට ලිනක්ස් වගේ එකක් ගත්තහම පුතේ එක අපි කියනවා නිදහස් සහ විවෘත මෘදුකාංග කියලා. කිසි මුදලක් ගෙවන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඊළඟට ඒක කොහොමද නිර්මාණය කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා කෙනෙකුට බලන්න පුළුවන්, වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. So that's another advantage. So when it comes to Windows and Apple, ඒකේ code ගත්තොත් පුතේ අපි කියනවා we call it proprietary, right? Which means nobody can change, right? Nobody can it's not freely available. Then there are other the software operating systems are there. For example, in mobile phones, what is commonly used is what we call Android, the operating system again developed by Google, and this is a type of the core of the operating system is Linux. Again, පුතේ මේකත් Linux හරහා Linux මත පදනම් වෙච්චි version එකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඊළඟට පුතේ එක customization ලංකාව පැත්තෙන් ගත්තොත් ලංකාවෙත් අපේ තියෙන හන්තාන Linux කියලා. So it was a customized අපි කියන distribution එකක් තියෙනවා නිර්මාණය වෙලා. අපි practical කරනකොට පුතේ බලමු we'll try to introduce to these different types of operating system when you're practicing it, right? For the time being, we'll finish the theory. So that's what we discussed last time, and I hope to continue from the types of operating system, right? Now, if you have, look at what we have covered earlier, we discussed different types of operating systems. අපි එක විදිහ operating systems ගැන කතා කරා. And these operating systems, you have different properties. එක දේවල් වෙනස්. හැම එකම එකම විදිහට නෙමෙයි හදලා තියෙන්නේ. Their focus is also different. Their functionality is also different. So based on the functionality of the operating system, we can further classify operating systems. අපි මේ පාවිච්චි කරන දේ කොහොමද පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ මෙන්න මේ දේවල් දිහා බලලා you can further classify it. First, we can say single use operating system. I will explain later on. Then we have multi-use operating system. Then we have multitasking operating systems, and then real-time operating system. Okay, for the exam point of view, you should know like what these different types are, as well as you have to remember at least a couple of examples. So let's start with the single-use operating systems. Right. So if the operating system could be used only for one person, then we call it a single-use operating system. Early days, that means 20, 30 years back, all the operating systems, we had what we call, we didn't have any graphical user system. What we had was disk operating system, right? For example, right now also we can have it. Let me share my computer screen. Now, for example, DOS prompt is already there. Let me type CMD. I'm getting a what we call the command prompt. So early days, the operating systems looks like this. And only one user can use this. And it's we call command line, which means you have to type the command. Now, for example, I can type to view the files inside my folder as dir, which will give me the list of files available within the directory, right? So here are the files, and let's say you want to let's put it in this way. So let me look at more details. Let's see what are the files we have. Okay, I can go to one of the folders. So if you want to go inside the folder, we can say cd. So I'm going to go to downloads, right? Then I will put dir. It will show you all the files. So what you see is all the files. Let me change the properties to a bit so that it's very clear to you, right? Okay, so I think now it's okay. Right, here is what we have. Well, let's say I want only the executable files, dir. I'm going to put another command, so which will give us only executable files or programs, right? All the software I have downloaded, I can list like this, or else I can check all the files, document files. Okay, right? So we talk about the single use operating system. Only one person may use the operating system. MS-DOS is an example. Then multi-use operating system, multiple users can access at the same time. Early days we had mainframes where we, using terminals, we can connect to the mainframe computer. So multiple users can access the resources. And nowadays we have servers, right? Windows and Windows Server software is example. And then nowadays, what we have is multitasking. We can perform multiple tasks at the same time. So as I told you earlier, so you can listen a song and at the same time you can type a letter. So this is possible with almost all the operating system we use today. Then we have a very special operating systems are also available, like ATMs, because you want to perform particular tasks at the same time, right? So the operating systems are very specific, and then they comes under what we call the real-time operating system. Now, for example, with money withdrawal, you have to perform it at the same time. So to support, you have a special operating systems are used. Right. Okay. Let's look at the services. Services of an operating system. So any operating system, that could be Linux, it could be Mac operating system, it could be Windows, whatever it is, it provides these common services. So there are two main services provided by the operating system. First one we call managing hardware of a computer. Two, provide a user interface. Okay, let's start with the first one, managing the hardware of a computer. Now, all these physical components, I told you it's hardware. So we need to manage those, right? So when you say managing those hardware component, we can boil it down to 6, like process management, memory management, device management, file management, security management, and network management. Okay, let's look at what the processes are, right? Right. Now, when you run a program, it will create what we call a process. අපි උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගමු. අපි හිතමු වෙබ් බ්‍රවුසර් එක අපි ඕපන් කරා වෙබ්සයිට් එකට යන්න කියලා. එතකොට මේ බ්‍රවුසර් එක ඕපන් වෙන එක it will be a process. ඊට පස්සේ අපි හිතමු we open Excel, it will be another process. හරි? එතකොට දැන් අපි හිතමු අපේ තියෙන්නේ එක processor එකයි කියලා. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි කිව්වොත් එහෙම Core i3 computer එකේ how many processors are, how many cores are there? So when you take process management, any particular task will create a process for a given time, assuming it's a unique processor. Processor can perform a single task at a time. So how do you handle when you have multiple processors? So in process management, any running program is a part of the process. So sometimes a particular activity may create one process or multiple processes. So we have to perform various tasks under this. Then there are like some ordering of processes. So some processes get priority. Some are kalim karanna ඕනේ. ඒතර ඒ priority එක වැඩි කරනවා අපි එයා තමයි කලින් කරනවා කියලා. Right? And processes එතකොට අපි පිළිවෙලකට තමයි arrange කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? Then we have memory. We have memory management, right? Basically, when we say memory, we talk about random access memory, RAM. So it is also the same like earlier. When you have multiple programs are running, you have to allocate memory from the same amount of RAM. Explain how to find capacity of a random access memory. කොහොමද අපි හොයන්නේ? How are we going to use the RAM? මගේ machine එකේ මට කියන්න කොහොමද මම RAM එක හොයා ගන්න ඕනේ? ඔපුතේ අචිර පුතේ තව චුට්ටකින් මේක disconnect වෙයි. disconnect වුණොත් ඒ link එකම ආයෙ පාවිච්චි කරන්න. Okay, so කොහොමද හොයන්නේ? ඔව් මට කියන්නේ memory එක හොයන්නේ කොහොමද? අචිර මගේ machine එකේ. එහෙනම් මතක තියාගන්න. පුතේ යන්න ඕනේ Windows Explorer. Right. මම screen එක share කරන්න. තප්පර ගානයි තියෙන බලමු මට කරන්න පුළුවන් වේද කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මේ කියන්න this PC right click කරන්න properties.